What's up, Formula Ed fans? Welcome back to a Tech Talk here with Ed, and we are going to circle back to the Hungarian Grand Prix, and we're going to talk about George Russell's incident during the start of the race. So let's get into it. So at the launch, right, at the Hungarian Grand Prix, Russell launches on 9% throttle. Antonelli, one slot over, launches on 30, which is what a typical launch is supposed to look like. 9% isn't a bad start. It's a car that isn't responding. So let me show you the telemetry, because what looked like a driver mistake was a software failure that actually started a day earlier. So Saturday quali, curb strike, water leak, and engine is destroyed. Fresh power unit overnight, and that's the one that fails George. So grid, we're T-minus 4 seconds, revs run away on their own to 12,800 RPM. So there's no input from George. The pedal is no longer controlling the engine. So lights out, the clutch releases, revs collapse to 4,500, and anti-stall fires. And here's what that looks like in terms of the data. This is throttle percentage against distance for the first 80 meters. Russell in blue, or George in blue, Kimi in green. So look at Kimi's green line first, because that's the healthy baseline. It sits at a flat, steady 30% right at the line. That's the standard launch procedure. Hold 30 and then let the clutch do the work, and then it climbs smoothly and just keeps climbing. Now George, on the other hand, his blue line, it starts at 9% and it's shaky, bouncing between 13 and 18% in the first 5 meters. That wobble matters a lot. It's not a nervous driver, it's a driver pressing the pedal and getting nothing back. So he keeps probing for a response. Then around 17 meters, the blue line spikes all the way to 73%. That's Russell flooring it. That's him flooring it. Chasing an engine that's already gone. By then, Kimi passes him inside the first 8 meters. And that spike sets up the clearest evidence in the whole data set in terms of the anti-stall. So let's get into that. Same data zoomed out to 100 meters. And now compare the shapes of the two lines. A normal launch trace climbs once and stays up. The driver feeds in power, the power arrives, there's no reason to back off. That's exactly what the green line does. One smooth, uninterrupted ramp, full throttle by 72 meters. The blue line does the opposite. This is George's line. It spikes to 73%, then falls back to 44%. A 29-point swing inside 25 meters. That's pretty significant, because when anti-stall is in control, flooring it does nothing. The system is managing the engine, not the pedal. He has to back out, let it recover, and rebuild the launch from scratch. That spike and collapse shape is the anti-stall fingerprint. You cannot produce it by simply starting badly. The cost sits at the right edge of the chart. Russell reaches full throttle at 87 meters, 15 meters after Kimi. And that bill for those 15 meters comes due at turn 1. So this chart runs the full 550 meters from the line to turn 1. The green line tells you what clean air looks like. Antonelli goes to full throttle and just stays there, a flat line across the top of the chart, all the way to 540 meters before he brakes. Russell's blue line can't do that. Around the 300 meter mark, it dips to 53%. That's him lifting because there are cars directly ahead. He's boxed in, and then it drops to 0 at 440 meters, braking a full 100 meters earlier than his teammate purely because of traffic. So the launch didn't just cost him the start, it capped his whole afternoon, and here's the receipt. So the position chart, all 70 laps. The teal line starts at the bottom during lap 1, or at lap 1 in position 19 or P19. The climb, he essentially climbs 12 places in 21 laps. Traffic passed, pit cycles ridden, right? And genuinely good recovery driving, right? He does a fairly good job there. Then the line goes flat. 50 laps parked at P7 to P8. Leaders are long gone. Every lap spent essentially buying back what 9% sold. So driver error or not. Verdict, first radio call blamed Russell. Post-race, the team reversed it. Technical fault outside of his control. So revs surging to 12,600 on under 10% throttle. His inputs were reactions to the fault, not the cause, and Toto even goes out of his way to state that it goes 100% on us. The TV saw a slow start, the data saw a system fault, and that's why we read telemetry, and that's why I'm here to get into the details. Hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Cheers.